talk really quick about intellectual property and things like that. So, most likely, like let's say you have a poem, you would like this poem to be published. Most, if we're being honest, posting something on social media is viewed as a form of publication. So, in theory, if you're trying to get the poem published, you're submitting it out, but then you also post it on YouTube, that would get viewed as being published in the eyes of the journal. Now, maybe that bothers you. Maybe though you're like, what are the chances that the journal's going to find the video and know that I did that? That's not personally the strategy I would use, but you do you, you know? Like if you're like, I like my odds, cool. But technically by putting it on social media, whether it's like a Facebook post, Instagram, reel or anything like that, a YouTube video, technically that is a form of publication. Okay. Other questions is about publishing, right?
So like he was saying, like when you do that, then can anyone use it? Like,
so you guys have probably seen like the reels and the shorts and the TikToks of people using music from
Right.
artists or like
Just
taking clips from
abusing.
movies and like doing little comments.
right.
So the big, we have to be honest, right now it has never been easier to take someone else's content and repost it as your own.
Right.
Never been able to do that. So it's kind of the Wild West right now in terms of like copyright law, because we've never had to deal with this before, especially not on a scale like this. So everyone's trying to navigate it, some more successfully than others. Like TikTok has agreements with like music labels so they can use the music for now. But this is all new. You know, if a music label changes their mind and like we don't like want this anymore,
You can just snatch it right off.
and they're gonna come. They could, in theory, they could come after you when you can't do anything. You know, the big thing you hear a lot nowadays is fair use. Fair use basically meaning that if you take content and make it original in some way, that's why you see sometimes people like post a movie clip but then have themselves really small in the corner, like talking over the movie or things like that. They would argue that hey, this is fair use. I think the thing to remember is that fair use is a defense. By the way, I'm not a lawyer or an attorney. It's a defense. It doesn't automatically guarantee that you're going to win your case. And even if you win your case, again, it's a defense. You got to show up in court and plead your case and charge your lawyers to win. So like, yeah, you might win, but are you really winning if you have to pay, you know, however much your lawyers cost and things like that, you know? So, I have a teaching channel. I have several teaching channels. If you guys are curious about numbers, I'm happy to show you numbers. They're not like super big channels, but they're bringing a little bit of income, which is nice. One thing I could do, or that a lot of channels do, is they take clips from movies and then analyze like the English that they're using or language that they're using. I do that very sparingly. I did a little bit in the past. I don't do it anymore for these copyright
Right.
reasons. Does that kind of answer your question a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Nintendo's suing somebody over Pokemon. Like, oh,
Nintendo
God.
is very protective about their stuff.
Yeah.
Disney also tends to be pretty protective too. So like these are two things I would try to. If there's any companies to stay away from, those.
Yeah, I was just
definitely
reading an article where Nintendo tried to sue these, like, I don't know if you guys ever messed around with the Wii console, but like how there's like a whole like homebrew network of people just doing stuff on their own.
Right.
Well, they took the brand new Super Smash Brothers and took all the skins from it and put it on the old mechanics of the game. So there's like, it looks like the new game, but it's really the old game. And they had this huge tournament, and Nintendo tried to sue him, like, hey, you can't do that. And the judge threw it out. He was like, they made no money. Like they made the product and they put it out there for free and they had a tournament. Like there was no cash exchanged. Like, so sorry, Nintendo, like, you can't sue them.
You know, it's crazy to me, like, and not to get us down a rabbit hole, but like ChatGPT, these big AI engines, they
yeah.
have basically consumed the internet.
Yeah.
And the position they've taken is that they're AIs that like you basically like read and digest all these books, magazines, everything that's online is that, well, it's just like a person that's like a really, really fast reader. You know, it's like, it's not that we violated your copyright, unlike you wrote like a physics textbook and we sucked it all in, and now it's inside ChatGPT and the way we've trained it on what's in your book. But we're not going to give you a dime for having used your book, because it's like our machine just read it real fast.
Right.
It's a weird, like, here we are worried about, you know, like a couple little poems.
Right.
And you know, like Google is literally like vacuumed up the internet.
Yeah, it's
and
getting
used
worse.
it as training data to train its AIs, and they're not the only ones. But anyway,
Yeah. No, I want to
It's-
eventually have like a whole panel just talk about AI and
Yeah.
art and Reddit. Things like
It's
that.
like the most scary, wonderful thing ever.
Yeah, it's a catch-22. Like, on one hand is
to keep
good.
us focused, because
Right.
this can be very.
Yeah. This could go
I
a long
appreciate
time.
the eagerness. I know
Right.
there's a lot of interest in it, and it's super powerful stuff. Let's table it for
Right. Definitely.
because I think there is something there. Does anyone else have other questions about copyright, publishing?
Well, I do know when I do make YouTube videos, when I try to come up with thumbnails, I go through. I think it's Creative License or Common License, or I use Canva too.
Creative Commons.
Yeah, Creative Commons, and that's how I stuff, and that's free stuff you use. Because I don't ever want nobody to come back trying to sue me.
For sure.
So I don't know. So I don't know if that will work the same way with us too. Though if somebody did use our stuff, they can say, "Hey, this is Creative Commons," or "This is free." Thing.
Creative Commons. So if you're using Creative Commons, there is a license you still need to post. Like in the video, there's like some accreditation you need to give.
Oh, like an attribution?
Yeah. So just be careful with
Okay.
Creative Commons, because a lot of times it still requires that.
Okay.
Unless you find there is Creative Commons no attribution, you can look that up.
Okay, so there's different types of
There's
Creative
different.
Commons.
There's all different
Okay.
kinds of levels. So just kind of watch out for that, because in theory, again, they'd have to find you, but in theory,
Yeah.
if it's Creative Commons but attribution required, you need to get the info. Now, like I said, there are sources where you can pull information. Like one thing I do, sometimes I need videos of people talking for analysis for my English. So what I do, if you go to, there's a website called Vimeo, which is kind of like YouTube. You can change the search to just include videos that are Creative Commons, no attribution. And so those are videos I use if I'm doing analysis, which maybe you could use for like B-roll or things like side footage.
That's
and
interesting.
things. Just to note. Another thing you could do, you could find websites, popular ones are like unsplash.com, if you guys have heard that. Another one is Pexels, like Pex, P-E-X.
Yeah, I use that one before.
These are websites where you can find, Unsplash is just photos, but Pexels also has video that can be attribution free. It's nice if you get attribution, but you don't have to.
Okay.
So feel free to reach out to me. I'll try to post these links and things like that afterwards in case people are curious. So it is possible to find some attribution free material to use. Depending on how you feel about AI, using things like I've used image generators for the use of like thumbnails and things like that. Music is really hard because music requires licensing, and music labels are really, they want their share. If you use copyrighted music on YouTube, that doesn't necessarily hurt your channel, but later on if you do get monetized, you're not going to get money, if you're using other people's music. One thing I do, and this is me, don't have to do it. If you're like ethically, I feel against it, I get it. But I create just like lo-fi beats to just play in the background, so I get some background music. There's a program called Music Effects from Google,
Yeah.
which
Yeah, I've used
creates
it.
stuff.
Pretty good.
It's
So simple.
it's legit.
Right.
I showed it to one person, and a half hour later, they're like, "I just made an entire mixtape
Right.
with like 13 tracks." Because the music is like, it's not like you're not gonna get like the best songs in the world, but like for something that's like B-roll in the background, like there's stuff you can get on that it can make for you that's like sounds.
Like, I
Like
remember
anyone.
the guy that like produces most of the tracks, like on the music side of things, like for me. Like when he found that, he was like, "Are you serious? Like, are you serious?" Like he was just so like almost pissed that he spent so much money on so many different music programs.
It's it's real, like there's programs out there like if you're trying to get like if you're looking for music to purchase to use for licensing, that's people made. There's like Epidemic
Right.
Sound is a
Yeah,
popular
I've
one.
heard of that one.
You know, these things do cost money. These are business expenses, though.
Right.
I'm not a CPA. I'm not a tax accountant or anything like that. These are potential. If you're viewing your YouTube channel seriously, keep your receipts because these are business expenses.